Okay, this is one of the difficult things to program. This is a mini-game, which is basically a sort of lock-picking activity in which the player has to get through the maze. This was very difficult because I had to learn a few things. First and foremost is when you actually play the mini-game, there are instructions, and every time the player enters the enter key, the words go on. But first I had to figure out how to make that work. And it's not still there, don't worry, it just looks like it is because there's a shadow or everything that moves. And then and how did I do this? Okay, well, this is all very actor-based. The way that it starts is the lockpick text, as I call it. This was one of the most difficult things to do. First, you have to actually make the text. But what I used was a series of attributes which are on-off, named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and destroy. So the way it works is that I then made a series of attributes so that it starts, which is the first one, because it starts off with 1. So when 1 is true, and when you actually see the event that someone pressed the turn key on the keyboard, then after 1 second, it changes the attribute from self1 to false, so this then not the other, and then changes self2 to true. Have the same thing set up with the others from 5 to up until changes self5 to false and self-destroy to true. The attributes destroy. Then the way that I had it set up was that the transition, when 1 is true, it displays the text. Same thing with 2, 3, 4, and 5, as you can see. Then destroys the last one, so that when you destroy, so because there's only 5 text boxes, the text box, it destroys itself. So what this does then, self1 is true. It starts off that way. I have it clicked so that it starts off that way, so that when you actually go into the scene and press play, the text box is already there. Hang on a second. So it starts off when it's there. But then when you press the enter key, is pressed down, after a second, it changes from self1 to self2, and since it's set up so that when 1 is on, it displays this text, then 1 turns off, so this text disappears. But then when 2 is on, this text appears. So the previous text appears and the next text disappears. So it looks like you're going forward in the story, in the explanations and such. I'm using that with other text that I'm also using for assigning quests to further the plotline, basically. To assign quests, I'm going to use a similar form of text with the full destroy on the last one. However, one thing that I'm going to be doing differently is instead of using Boolean, I'm going to be using integer, which you haven't actually seen yet, but it looks somewhat like real. It's a series of numbers that are added to as certain events change. It's also an attribute, which is all going to be the next one.